And welcome back to the ATCG's podcast. I am here with Juan Lopez.
I'm here with Peyton Little.
Hey. Juan, would you like to explain our new format we got going here?
Okay, so we're trying to have it be a bit more organized this time around, and we're going to be adding a part of the podcast that is going to be, well, it was inspired by this Reddit post that I saw on this video game that I used to play, where they had progression threads where they went over all the major progresses in the game's like world records and stuff like that. And I thought, man, that'd be a really good idea to have in a podcast. So we're going to be instituting that in this episode, and the kind of topic for that is going to be the overarching problem, which is we haven't been able to upload,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, we've been kind of drilled. School has been getting really fast. It's the end of the year. We're both in track, and that takes up a lot of time and days. And Juan, I know you have work.
yeah, 3 days a week, and that's killer to say the least.
So that is why we haven't been shoveling out content, and it seems like you guys really like the podcast, so we want to put that out. So that's why we're here today. And speaking of the podcasts, let's go and get into our topic for today.
Yes, sir.
All right. So for today's episode, we're gonna do a Q&A. We got some questions from some listeners, and we're going to read them off to you. So our first question is, what is your favorite book and why? So
Now, starting off, I picked this book that I read kind of recently. It's called A Journey Through Philosophy and 101 Anecdotes, which I actually have right here with me. The
oh
quality on it's a bit weird because I ordered it from Amazon and it said that it was in good quality and it came like that. So,
oh,
sorry for the bad bookkeeping. It kind of makes me
it's not your fault. So
yeah, except I thought good quality was going to be a lot better than
uh,
that. But yeah, it's a really good introduction to philosophy, which is becoming a bit more esoteric nowadays. But the way that Nicholas Retcher, the writer, does it is just beautifully done, since he goes over 101 topics essentially on philosophy, starting from basically the beginning of philosophy all the way up to contemporary philosophy, and uses very simple vocabulary for the most part. It's not verbose at all, and uses graphs, which is like really weird since I was thinking, well, it works perfectly when you read the book, but it doesn't really add up just listening to it. And he usually gives a really concise summary of each anecdote, which
oh,
I love.
so that's pretty
So,
interesting. How long is it?
let me check again. It's like I didn't read through it straight through the book, mostly because a lot of it I reflected upon. So I think
Uh,
it's about it looks like it's a bit over 200. It's around 280 pages, but if you read like one a day, eventually you'll get done with it. But I wanted to go over at least one or two of the topics within the book because, like, I don't know, I think they're kind of crazy, and I can get some input from you, Peyton. But
mhm.
there's this one part at the beginning of the book that, like, I didn't think of too much at the time since it seemed pretty obvious. It was entitled Heraclitus's River, which he was one of the earliest philosophers that we know of.
Mhm.
And he was basically saying you can't step into the same river twice because the water's moving. And there's obviously, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. But then when you think about it a bit more, trying to apply it to your life, it reminded me of something that came up recently in my life. Breaking up with my girlfriend and then what I did afterwards, which I am not proud of. I'm
Mhm.
not that smart sometimes. And right after I did it, I reread it, or somebody mentioned it, and I reread it, and then I thought of that famous quote: "Don't run into that mailbox that you ran into last week."
Oh.
And then
Okay.
like there's a few other like really good ones, which I'm gonna name off really quick. But Aesop's Donkey was really interesting. It's just a story that I've heard before, but really didn't give much thought into Plato's Ring of Gyges, which is explains our moral duty to ourselves essentially, and then other stuff that like I laughed at really hard when reading, like Zeno's Races, and stuff that made me think a lot more like Aristotle's Golden Mean.
Hmm. So it's like a book, like it helps with like soul searching and realizing like life application.
You see, a lot of it has a real life application, and it's kind of like food for thought a lot of the time,
Hmm.
and a lot of the time you can apply it to your life, which it's overall made my life quite a bit better from reading it. So I'd give it a solid 10 out of 10. Would recommend it to anybody. I'd say almost literally anybody could pick it up if you can read English, and I bet they probably have translations for other languages too.
Yeah, yeah. So that was, what was it called again?
A Journey Through Philosophy and 101 Anecdotes by Nicholas Retcher.
All right. So go check that one out. Journey through. Wait. Journey. What? Okay. Dang it.
You see, I'm going to put the link for the Amazon page in the comments if anybody is really interested in reading it.
Okay. Okay. I know what it's about. It's just I can't get the title out. It's kind of long. So.
Yeah, I will admit it is kind of long.
Okay. So I'm gonna follow up that book with a not so like this is not a philosopher's book at all, and that is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. So if you haven't read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, it's pretty short and basic. You probably read it when you were about 4. It's about what happens if you give a mouse a cookie. I mean, it's kind of deep and it answers a big question. What does happen if you give a mouse a cookie? Like, do you know what happens if you give a mouse a cookie?
You see, I haven't picked up the book since I was 4, I think, so I'm not sure.
And the there's like so many pictures in the book, and the visuals are just really good, and it just flows well from page to page, and it's you can't put it down. Like you finish it while you are reading it, like all in one go. It's it's a great book for all ages. Obviously, might stick on the younger side, but that's okay. You can be young again. And it spawned a lot of sequels in its debut. It's had you give a pig a pancake, you get a cat a cupcake, take a mouse to school, all those things. So it's answered so many questions for us, like what happens if we give animals desserts. So
Man, the title is kind of like a cliffhanger. It's like, what does happen if I give a mouse a cookie? And I'm only going to figure out if I read the book, so I've got
exactly,
to pick that one up. I
exactly.
probably still have it on my bookshelf, come to think of it.
I know it's probably in my attic, deep stored away. I'd say.
Maybe there's a PDF floating around that I could buy.
PDF. Go read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie on a PDF right now.
We'll put the Amazon link for that one too. That one's also a really important part of English literature.
Heck yeah. All right. So moving on to our next question. It's kind of a more in depth. Well, that was really in depth, but this one is kind of like more about our channel. Is how we got the ATCG's name and why we started the podcast. So, Juan, do you want to take us into our first segment, which is the name?
So, the actual subject matter comes from the great Mr. Scott that me and Peyton share as a biology teacher this year, which he is a really wise and funny man. Other people would disagree with me and fight me to the death over that statement, but a lot of what he says really resonates with me. And even when he gives like absolutely insane ideas on matters like philosophy or practical ideas, a lot of the time I'm like, wow, that's so wrong. But then I come to think about it and ponder and reflect for days on end. And eventually I think, wow, he's a lot smarter than I originally thought. And
Mm-hmm.
he's just been make me a better person this entire year, I'd say. And then specifically in one of these talks, he was giving one of his grander motive overall for teaching biology 1 and the way that he teaches it specifically. And he gave the very concise sentence saying that he wants to help us get through college.
Yeah.
And one of the large parts of that is using good study habits. One of the famous, and specifically in this case, mnemonics, which we get our namesake from, is ATCGs, which helps us remember adenine, thymine go together, and cytosine, guanine go together, which gave me the easiest A plus of my life and got me a candy bar, if I remember correctly. Since we got a 100 on one of his tests, he'd give you like a jumbo sized candy bar. I was over the moon with like that gigantic Hershey's bar. It was beautiful to say the least, and I love the man to death.
Yeah, Mr. Scott is a really great teacher. I love that guy. And so, kind of the whole reason we started this up is for, like I mentioned earlier, we run track. So we had always kicked around like joking about doing a podcast. But
Yeah.
when one Wednesday we decided to take a shower in the locker room, not together, but like separate.
Yeah, 2 separate showers. This is the nicest
Yes.
locker room shower you're ever going to hear about.
Really
It
good
had
shower.
2 showers with curtains.
And like a sit down area for one of those.
Oh, yeah.
So like totally mind blowing. I think we're like one of the only ones to use those showers this year.
Blake used it.
Blake,
I shouldn't have said that.
We
I should have just said,
we
oh
can-
yeah, some people use it.
We can censor that. That's okay. But we we talked in the shower separately for a bit, and then we got out like, that was really funny. Let's start a podcast, and we wanted to start it in the shower, but we don't have a waterproof mic or technology or anything like that.
And we had a very negative response to the people we talked about it, since they said that was a bad idea.
Yeah, and it sent
So-
off the wrong message. So we scrapped that pretty fast, and then started the ATCG network one fine day. And now we're here.
All the beautiful history we have up to this day.
Lasting of about 4 months.
That was a really good 4 months, though.
Oh yeah, we've had a strong ride at our current 41 subscriber count, but we might get higher than that. Probably going to 50 soon. So
Big milestone coming up, to say the least.
yeah, should we do a 50 subscriber special?
You see, I think it's only warranted because we missed the 1 subscriber special. Then we missed the 25 subscriber special.
That's
so
true.
when we hit 50,
When we hit 50, we're gonna have
So-
something special.
yes, of course, timestamp this and write it down. It's gonna be beautiful.
It is in the history books forever. ATCG's network 50 subscriber special, right there.
So now we're going to go on to the second part of today's show, which is going to be the lightning round for the question and answer for some of the questions that we didn't think we needed to go into a lot of detail in. So we are going to be going to a pretty major question. If you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be, Peyton?
Okay, so for mine, I have my notes right here. I chose pizza. And that's not because pizza's like my favorite food, but it's very diverse. Because when you order a pizza, you can have tomato sauce, you can go no sauce, olive oil, Alfredo sauce, and you can have like whatever you want on top of it. And it can either be flatbread, deep dish, regular. It's got all your essentials on there. So if you're not really feeling like everything that day, you can pick off what you want, and you could probably make yourself a salad out of it if you get like a vegetarian pizza. There's just like, and if you're feeling meat that day, get a meat lovers. I mean, there's so much you could do with pizza.
That is ingenious, and I wish I would have thought of that. I was thinking, practical, so I was, chicken Alfredo. It's
Mhm.
somewhat healthy.
Yeah.
Probably not the most healthy thing, but at the same time, you have most of what you need, depending on how you prepare it. So, solid 10 out of 10. I would eat it every day for the rest of my life, out of 10.
Yeah, you could throw some veggies in there, maybe mix it up with the kind of chicken. You could go for different kinds of chicken.
Oh, yeah.
So, the world is your oyster.
So then the next question is a really hard question to ask, which just blows my mind every time I read it. What is your favorite flavor of chip?
Favorite? Okay, you kind of cut out there. So it was favorite.
What is your favorite flavor of chips?
Okay, mine is a certain kind of chip, and not a lot of people eat it. It's Munchos. They're by Frito Lay's. They're in a red bag. It's got like this stamp on it that says $2 only. Have you heard of these?
I have never heard of this at
Okay.
all. Enlighten.
Okay, so basically what they are is it's like a Lay's potato chip, except they make it a lot more airy and like smooth. So like when you bite into it, it's a really good crunch. It kind of like dissolves a bit in your mouth. Really kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
salty. Yeah. So I love those. That's just me. So what would your flavored chip be?
So when it comes to the favorite flavor of chip, it's all about variety, I feel. And when it comes to chips, nothing has more variety in one package than Chex Mix. It's so
Oh,
good, even though it might be cheating a little bit.
I don't
Like
think
I could
that
eat Chex Mix.
you eat Chex Mix. Sorry, I cut you off.
So is that cheating?
That's not
Yeah,
cheating.
Chex Mix. I could eat it for days.
I don't think that's cheating. I think that counts as a chip. Like you got your pretzels, you got both kinds of Chex, the garlic bread things, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to warn the viewers before this question ends: do not get the turtle Chex Mix. I despise it. I just picked it up off of the rack, and I was like, "Ooh, Chex Mix," and it wasn't the original. And then I was eating it. I'm like, "This is all right," but could you imagine eating the regular Chex Mix instead? And it just ruined my day.
Uh, is it sweet?
Like, it's sweet. It has it's indulgent, and I'm trying to remember what it has in here. It has I think M&Ms. They have a different powder for the actual Chex pieces. They have some type of nuts, and they also have like those buttery popcorn things, which are usually good on their own, but way too sweet for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think regular Chex Mix is a better deal on that end.
So next question. This one's a bit philosophical in nature, but do you want a Sprite cranberry?
You know, I think in life, you look into the sunset, and that's the question that I think of always when I stare off into space. Is do I want a Sprite cranberry? Because they're gone now. We can't get them. They are a seasonal thing.
A true tragedy, to say the least.
So, in all reality, yes, I do want a Sprite cranberry.
You see, the hardest part about answering this question is that it's a bit allegorical in nature. Like, do you want a Sprite cranberry? It's a lot more than it comes to the natural eye. It's like you read it, and it's, do you want a Sprite cranberry? And it's like, at first, it's like, of course, yes, I want a Sprite cranberry. Those things were amazing. They had those beautiful ads,
Mm-hmm.
with the amazing jingle, which I'm pretty sure they have privated on YouTube again and won't come out until next year again, like last year. But when it comes to tackling it from some philosophical stances, like the Epicureans, they would answer a staunch no. I do not want a Sprite cranberry. But
Mm-hmm.
for my limited knowledge right now, and will probably remain limited all the way up until I die, just how human nature works, I will say I want the Sprite cranberry.
Sprite cranberry. We all want Sprite cranberries.
So then the next question, which me and him were kind of debating on whether or not having this on the show. We're not sure about the content, but where do babies come?
All right, and for this one, I will prepare a little drawing for you, Bob Ross style. So, this is a visual representation of where babies come from. So, when a man and a woman love each other very, very much, they will send for these things called bird babies. And these bird babies will fly through the sky carrying little babies in sacks. And usually bird babies are storks, but I have seen a few, like an occasional duck. So, yeah, that's where I think babies come from. But Juan, you may have a different answer.
You see, I also thought the stork, but I kind of forgot about the ducks. But the thing is that you say I think, but the thing is that it's obvious, undeniable truth that the stork comes. Like, where would I have come from? Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. The stork dropped me off, my parents picked me up, and now I'm here. So,
yeah. It's all too perfect. See, in that case, we're all adopted. And
I would go into a bit religiously on that subject, but I think it might be a bad idea. So, you know.
do we have any more questions left, or is that the last question?
That was the last question. End it with an absolute banger of a question.
Where do babies come from? Yeah, the answer right here. It's the bird. It's the ducks and the storks.
Yeah, that's one of the answers you can mark off the checklist of major questions. Now we just have to answer the human condition as well as how on earth does quantum mechanics work, which we'll probably tackle in a future episode.
Exactly. So, any closing remarks, Juan, as we wrap things up?
See, I thought we went pretty concise in most of our answers, and I don't really have any closing remarks or questions. What about you?
Well, if I were to say anything, I would say please subscribe, tell your friends, and all that jazz. Because
Oh, and also feedback in the comments for the new what do you call it, format, as well as having it be a bit more organized the way that we're doing.
yeah. So, do you like seeing our faces or do you not like seeing our faces? Really...
Okay, I don't answer that one. I don't really want to see the feedback on mine.
So, we're going to end it off with one last question. Juan, where have you been?
I've been at CG's.
See you guys next time.